All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakodash. Double honors to the apostle, elders, great millstone, taught us truth, and who will. Almighty Shalom to the brothers teaching week in and week out on the four corners of the earth. Prophesying the downfall of Esau, Edom, as well as the deliverance, of the hopeful elect, the Israelites. And another mighty Shalom to the believers on the four corners of the earth. Staying rooted in his faith, and doing their best to be obedient to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. So with this lesson, I'm gonna do a response and to the this was the video. It says patronizing teacher. It's gonna be the response to it. It's from the elder Ariala, from the Dallas camp. I was watching that video, listening to the video while I was at work. One of the Akim sent it to me. And it's a spirit though, because we all be needing that wake up call, and we all need discipline, because especially the younger brothers like myself, sometimes we be self-willed in our own way. What they doing down here? We be self-willed sometimes. Sometimes we feel like brothers be on our head, but it's for a good reason. It's to give us character, it's to give us discipline, it's to help us get understanding and wisdom. It's for a good cause. It's not brothers trying to be mean, or brothers just on your case for no reason. It's coming from on high, and that's what younger brothers got to understand, as well as some older brothers. Because we all under someone, and there's someone over us, to watch over us, and to teach us, certain things. Let me see what verse, what scripture I'm gonna start out with. Give me 1 second. But it's pretty much a response to that, to back up what the brother is bringing out. Getting a few precepts to back it up. And we're going to be on our way. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying, So let's see. I think I want to start with this Hebrews. We could just start with this Proverbs 23. I'm going to get the KJV and the NLT. This is Proverbs 23, starting at verse 12. It says, apply thine heart unto instruction, and thine ears to words of knowledge. Let me get an NLT. It says, commit yourself to instruction, listen carefully to words of knowledge. And that's exactly what older Akim bring out, to the ones that's babes, in this truth. Words of knowledge, and instruction. Because the elders, and the ones that's above us, they're kind of like spiritual big brothers or spiritual fathers, in a way to the younger Akim, teaching us the right thing to do, teaching us how to be men, teaching us what's the right word to say that? Discipline. At the end of the day, they're teaching us discipline, and that's something that we all need in this truth, especially, because that's how you stay rooted in this thing, because discipline helps you stay consistent, in your walk. Discipline helps you stay on fire, helping you read every day, helping you do your videos, such and such forth, Let's get this next precept. I lucky wanted to get this Hebrews. Let me see what this Hebrews says. So like Hebrews 5. Yeah. For when the time. This is Hebrews 5 and 12. It says, For the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. So we need to be taught again, first off, coming in this truth, you know, you gotta forget everything that you knew about this world, you know. And then who the Lord set up, you know, to teach you the right things. You know, the man of the Lord, you know, the ones that's in this, that been this truth before you, you know, starting from the apostles on down, you know, apostles and elders on down, you know. And the one thing I like about our camp, you know, even though we're a small camp, our elder, you know, he put a specific older Akim over us, you know, to check on us, you know, from time to time, or even every day, you know, to make sure our mental good, you know, to make sure we on our shit, you know, doing our videos, you know, reading, you know. It's funny, the one that's over me, the big brother Yasharala, you know, he be on my head about staying disciplined with working out. You know, that's a major thing, you know, that's going on in Israel right now. You know, brothers got to get in shape. You know, I'm not no super out of shape, you know, brother, but I could definitely work on that, you know, and that's something that he teaches, you know, that's something that he wants to apply to me, you know, because if you in shape, you know, that teaches you discipline. You know, working out teaches you discipline. You know, it keeps your mental right. You know, keeps you confident. You know, in a way. You know, in yourself, as I mean, you know, make you confident in yourself. You know, and it says you have initiative. You know, to do something. You know, and to stick with it. You know, and that's something that he wants to instill in me. You know, and I thank that brother. You know. But yeah, back to the scripture. You know. You know, if you ought to be a teacher, you know, you have to be taught again. You know, you got to forget what you knew in the world, you know, but also keep them experiences, but you got to be renewed, you know. You got to be taught new things. You got to be taught not the wisdom of this world, but the wisdom of the scriptures, you know, of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Let me see what else it says. We continue on. It says, verse 13, it says, for everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of the righteous, for he is a babe. You know, exactly. You start out as a babe in this truth, you know, then you have men to teach you. You know, you got to be taught again. Verse 14, but strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. You know, so the meat, you know, the deeper things in the scriptures, you know, are for the men of full of age, you know, the ones that's more experienced, you know, in this truth, you know. And it says at the end, it says their senses exercised to discern both good and evil, you know. So matter of fact, I'm gonna let the scriptures talk. I'm gonna get the NLT. It says solid food is for those who are mature, who through training have the skill to recognize the difference between right and wrong. You know, so those are the ones that's above us, you know, the ones that's patronizing us, like the elder brother brought out in his lesson, you know, that I'm responding to. You know, they're patronizing us, you know, and they just want us to do the right things, you know, and to be taught correctly. You know, but back to the point, yeah, the ones over us, you know, they have that skill, you know, to discern, you know, good and evil, right and wrong, you know, and the ones underneath them, that's my call on me. I'll watch me shot. As I'm teaching this bird to start staring at me for a little minute, it's not down there listening, but lost my train of thought. Yeah, but the ones over us, you know, they got the experience, you know, to learn, you know, right from wrong, you know, to discern good and evil, you know, because wisdom, you know, experience, you know, wisdom comes from experience, you know, and that comes with age, you know, and things that you go through, and that's the things that you should take heed to if you're a younger Akim or you young in his faith, you know. Let's get this next precept. Let's see what Luke say. Said Luke 6:40, NLT. That's a good one. Yeah, Luke 6:40 NLT. It says, "Students are not greater than their teacher, but the student who is fully trained will become like the teacher." And that's what you should be strived. That's what you should strive for, towards. Being like the righteous men in this truth. Because they're setting a great example. The apostles, elders on down, they're setting a great example. For the ones under them. And just like in sports, I always bring out examples in sports. The younger generations look up to the past generations. They study their moves. They study they habits. They study their study habits when it comes to watching film. Reading plays. Then eventually you're gonna become just like them, if not better. I'm not the type to necessarily try to be competitive. In this truth, that's not my prerogative. But my goal is to be like the older Akim that I am around. I can see that they're wise men. I see that they have experience in a lot of different things that I haven't experienced yet. So I wanna strive to be like that, to become more wiser, Let's get this next precept. Oldie but goodie. This is Proverbs 1:5. You know it? Yeah, let's get straight to the point. Proverbs 1:5. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. And just like what the other Ariala brought out, your teachers are not gonna be buddy with you, but it's gonna be wise counsel. I just did a video probably like last week or the week before, going into hearty counsel, hearty counsel. Going to that word hearty, it's with love. Because I ain't gonna lie, in this truth, it's a lot of tough love, that go on, but it's needed, because we don't need no lovey-dovey stuff, because it's gonna be hard times that's gonna be coming our way in the future, JT and such forth, they're not telling us what we want to hear, but they're telling us what we need to hear, to obtain salvation, giving us that righteous counsel, that wise counsel. But let me read this again. It says, a wise man will hear and will increase learning. So you're going to understand, once you hear. It says, a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. So you're going to receive guidance, through certain men, the ones that's over you, And I want to say this, regardless if you want to hear it or not, if you're getting wise counsel, it's coming from the Lord. You can't take offense to what's being said. Cause it's not about your feelings at the end of the day. It's just about you learning. And getting that understanding. So you can discern right from wrong or whatever you're doing. Or just becoming a better speaker, a better talker, whatever it is, in this truth, just listen, humble down, like the brother was saying in the video, humble down, because that's really what it is. Brothers need to learn how to humble down, because it's not about us at the end of the day, it's about getting to the kingdom of heaven, and teaching the hopeful elect out there, teaching the flock, keeping this what's the right word? Salakia. It's called a brain fart. It's a specific word that I want to get. Just simply to simplify, keeping this job going, because this is not of us, The Lord gave us some talents, He loaned us some money, to to bring out this truth. So we gotta flip it. We gotta double it, triple it, however the Lord wants us to do it. That's pretty much what I wanted to say. So Lakia caught a dang brain fart. We can get these last two precepts, and then we can end it off with that. Book of 2 Timothy, both coming out of there. Chapter 3 and 14 to 15 NLT. This is 2 Timothy 3 and 14 NLT. It says, But you must remain faithful to things you have been taught. You know they are true because, Shalakia, you know they are true, for you know you can trust those who taught you. And that's what goes into it too. Having faith. That these men were set up above you for a reason. And trusting them. With the knowledge that they give you. Because they're putting you on game at the end of the day. And I forgot which older Akim Williams made a video. No, it was the older Akim Yaramiah in his last video talking about chilling deal. He was like, sometimes the Lord will have you sometimes be down or have a Akim down, so y'all could be put together, so you could be put on game, And that's exactly what happened when the older Akim, I was with, a couple months ago. Every time I picked him up, for work, he used to put me on game, just teach me things. And I used to love that, Now, now we both working all these things, So I haven't been able to be around him as much, but I definitely took heed to everything that he taught me, in that short time. He put me on game, seeing where my mental was, cause that's a big thing, right now. Seeing where Akim's head is at, know what they thinking, cause sometimes we could be in a bad place, but let's get back to this. 2 Timothy 3 and 14 NLT says, But you must remain faithful to things you have been taught. You know they are true, for you know you can trust those who taught you. You have been taught the Holy Scriptures from childhood, being a babe, and they have given you the wisdom to receive the salvation that comes by trusting in Yahweh. It's like trusting in Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, It's a lot going on this morning. Seeing something went down by my crib. But yeah, we taught this truth. When you get taught this truth, early on, you're a babe, and with that, we learn from the older Akim. That being said, once we get the understanding of what what we're in and all these things, all these things, Lord willing, we could attain salvation by trusting in Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, like the scripture says, Shalakia for me to keep pausing, it's a lot going around right now. Let's get this last precept and end it off. This is this KJV and that T. This is 2 Timothy 4:3 NLT. It says, For a time is coming when people will no longer listen to sound and wholesome teaching. They will follow their own desires and will look for teachers who will tell them whatever their itching ears want to hear. We're in that time now, and this is necessarily talking about people being in these churches, our people being in these churches, our people listening to things just for entertainment, Egyptology stuff, flat earth, Christianity, Islam. They're doing that, because their ears are lusting after something that's pleasing unto them, But this truth that we in, the truth that the Apostle Elder Great Millstone taught us, It's wholesome, like the scriptures say, and it's sound. You know, it's not always pleasing to hear, but it's the right thing. You know, and that's the most important thing about this lesson that I want to bring out. You know, everything in this truth is not gonna feel good. It's not gonna sound good. You know, to your flesh, but to the spirit. But to your spirit is nourishing. You know, it nourishes you up. You know, that tough love nourishes you up. You know. But yeah, exactly. Verse 4 gonna go exactly to what I was bringing out. You know, people want to be entertained. You know, they want to hear smooth words. You know, and smooth things. You know, but that's not what the prophets bring out. You know, that's not what the real teachers, of this truth bring out. You know, it's not gonna always be smooth. You know, it's gonna be harsh. You know, it's gonna be rough, but it's gonna be the truth. You know. It says 2 Timothy 4:4. It says they will reject the truth and chase after myths. You know, and that's exactly what a lot of people doing today. You know, they're teaching after what their heart desire. You know, they're teaching after what sounds good to the ear. You know, and what's pleasing unto them. You know, they're going after their lust. You know, going each and every way. You know, turning to the left and right of each doctrine. You know, but not listening to the sound doctrine. You know, that's being presented to them week in and week out. You know. But yeah, Lord willing, I hope this lesson was edifying. I hope I wasn't rambling too much. You know, this lesson was just on my spirit. The older Akim, you know, he sent this to me and another younger Akim early this morning. You know, when I was at work. But it's been on my spirit, you know, ever since then. Ever since I watched it. You know, the water to the Akim right there. You know, we sent the video and the water to Yahweh Shemi Yahushai, you know, for letting me receive it, you know. But yeah, I'm going to end it off by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakodash, double honor to the apostle of the great millstone, who taught us truth and who will. A mighty shalom to the Akim teaching on the four corners of the earth, week in and week out. Prophets on the downfall, you know, of this wicked place, Babylon the Great as well. It's Esau Edom. And prophesying the deliverance of the Israelites, the hopeful elect. You know, shalom to the hopeful elect out there. You know, whoever may be listening. And I'm going to say Kwame Sharala and a Bible bar. So